Starting your Locker natural hair journey is oh so rewarding, but can be extremely stressful when you start to consider what products to use. If that's you, then look no further. Locklicious is a Black-owned company that has created an all-natural product line for locked and loose natural crowns. The Locklicious team works hard to ensure that their products are free of parabens, phthalates, sulfates, PEG, synthetics, and other toxic chemicals you find in other products. Best of all, the products are lightweight and will not leave residue or cause buildup. Go to locklicious.com to start treating your crown like royalty.
We have definitely an interesting story about people selling out, black people. Now, one of the leaders of the descendants of Jamaica's Afro-Indigenous people has apologized for helping enforce slavery centuries ago on the Caribbean island. The Maroons, they say, were Jamaica's first enslaved Africans who fought and freed themselves from captivity. They agreed to a treaty in 1739 to maintain their freedom and land granted by the British under two conditions. They had to stop slavery rebellions and return runaways to plantations. Now, they got their freedom, in which I'm happy they did that. But instead of saying, hell no, I'm not sitting up there and going to hurt my own people. He said, I'll fight you to the death. No, they sat up there in the Caribbean and agreed to sell out other brothers and sisters. So they say nearly 3 centuries later, they say a high-ranking Maroon has apologized. They say for her ancestors' part in keeping Africans in bondage. They say a Jamaica Observer had reported. They say enslaved Jamaicans were not fully emancipated until 1838. Now, she says, and I quote, "We regret the hurt and sufferings caused from such actions." They say we take responsibility on behalf of our ancestors. Said the paramount chieftainess, they say, and queen of the Maroons, Germaine Gloria Mama G. Sims. They say we realize that we cannot undo the past. And say, but we can remedy the situation through reconciliatory actions that will repair the damage and rebuild trust so that these behaviors will not be repeated. Now, Sims' apology came 8 days after the anniversary, and say, of a slavery rebellion led by Chief Tacky. It's a West African enslaved on the island. It said Tacky and his followers launched an attack on their captors on April 7, 1760, killing white masters and overseers on the frontier plantation and toppling British colonial forces at the parish's capital. And say it was the biggest slave uprising in the Caribbean history up to that point. It said Tacky was killed by a Maroon during the uprising and beheaded. Now, see, this is what I'm talking about. See, I posted a video on our The Black Congregation channel. If you're not subscribed to our The Black Congregation channel, you should be subscribed to that. And I talked about our biggest problem ever since even slavery has been other black people selling us out to the white supremacists or making deals with the white supremacists to harm other black people. So the Maroons in Jamaica, they good. They got land, they living good, but they got to keep other black people oppressed to make sure they stay good. That's no different than today. The Boulay Martins and the Joy Reeds and the Angela Ryes and all these different people who sell us out, Al Sharptons and all of them who sell us out, they get their check, they living good. All of them, boy, they ain't got a hair messed on their head. The Congressional Black Caucus, all of them that sold black people out. As long as we stay oppressed as a group of people, they get to stay good. You understand? There's always been a group of people that have assisted the white supremacists and keeping black people oppressed. See, I told y'all, you can't just focus on the white supremacists. You got to focus on black folks too. You got to focus on them. And what I said before is the Candace Owens and the Larry Elders, that's not even my biggest ones that I'm talking about, because they just run off of the mouth and you just see them coming. But the blue, no matter who black folks that sell us out politically to the Democrat Party, to all the Boulay and all them, they make sure that they keep harming us because they benefit. And there are people that benefit off of our oppression many, many ways. Okay? And one thing that nobody wants, the white supremacists, all those black folk, is for you to get some true freedom, especially if you're the type of person say, the hell with all y'all, I'm out of here. I'm making my life better somewhere else because I don't want to deal with you. I'm tired of you. I'm sick of it. The people who say that. Now, you want to live, listen, I'm not telling nobody where to live, what you want to do in the future in your life. I'm not one to tell you to do anything. You want to, like some people tell me, I ain't going nowhere. I'm never telling you to go anywhere. If you want to stay here the rest of your life with these black folks who work for massa, that's selling you out, selling the community out, and dealing with these white supremacists until the day you die, that is you, do you. But for the people that say, you know what, I need some other options. I just need to look into some. Let's look into that. You know, I want to see. If it don't work out, it just don't work out. But at least I want some other options. You understand? Because this raccoon class, it has continued all the way today. Now, they said another Maroon leader has since said that the black woman, they say, who came out saying this, Sims, they had no authority to issue an apology, and it was made without a consensus from other Maroon leaders. They say the Jamaican government had declared April the 8th Chief Tacky Day. They say in memory of the rebellious leaders, that Sims seemed to recognize the need for the remorse then. They said a week prior to her formal apology that she sent to the local newspaper. They said the Chief Tacky Day, it said declaration comes from the Governor General, whose role is to represent the same ruling power that wrote the Maroon Treaty, with clauses that demand them to suppress rebellions and capture the escaped enslaved. He said this was a conflict of interest and remains a hurtful scar in our history. Said let us, the liberators and freedom fighters, take responsibilities and say for what our ancestors have done, let us move to heal the rifts. Now they said the Spanish, it said initially captured native Arawaks and ruled Jamaica for 2 centuries. It said they also brought enslaved Africans to the island and say for free labor. It said hundreds freed themselves and helped free others with violent revolts. It said the Spanish labeled the rebels Maroons, which means fierce and unruly. It said there are 2 divisions of Maroons in Jamaica based on location. It said the Windward Maroons live in the eastern region of the island, and the Leeward Maroons live in the west. Sims says she was a descendant of the Trelawny town, part of the Leeward Maroons. So the Maroons later helped Britain upend the Spanish on the island. However, once the Spanish left Jamaica, they say the Maroons turned on the British, is erupting in decades of fighting until the Leeward and Windward treaties was signed in 1739. The agreement called for Maroon leaders and their successors to use their best endeavors to take, kill, suppress, or destroy all rebels whatsoever they be throughout the island, unless they submit to the terms of the treaty. Now, the Maroon leaders at the time also agreed to immediately send back any Africans that ran away from their enslavers. The British government awarded them with 30 shillings. It's about $1.95 today for each fugitive. And the Maroons also reportedly helped the British squash a black rebellion led by Baptist deacon Paul Bogle in 1865. It said over the wrongful conviction of a black man, Bogle marshaled civil unrest for 2 days until the British government invoked martial law. The Maroons captured Bogle and delivered him to the British government. It said Bogle and one of his key allies were hanged as a result. They were later named national heroes. So there is a current movement to recognize Chief Tacky as a national hero. The leader of another Leeward Maroon community came forward on April 20 and has raised questions about the authenticity of the apology. It's a Kampong Maroons Colonel Richard Curry said Sims was not elected by the Maroons of Jamaica as queen or paramount chieftainess. They said the reality, they said, is that we are not against apologies or reconciliation, but we're against acts of representation for people who do not know her as a leader. They say continue to say the reality is that there is no official position called paramount chieftainess, they say, or queen of the Maroons. So however, Sims was installed as the paramount chief, they say, by Maroons from Suriname, they say, in a ceremony that was captured on YouTube in 2014. She's also the founder and director of the Maroon Indigenous Women's Circle. She had told the news on April 21st that she is indeed a Maroon. Now, this is just a great story of how other black folks sell us out to the white supremacists. They said there was mixed responses. Said Sims' apology on behalf of the Maroons of Jamaicans recognized that the Maroons had little choice but to agree to peace after 80 years of war and secure their freedom. Many welcomed the apology, but they say this is a timely and welcome apology. I know that it's come from, they say, the paramount chieftainess, Mama G. Sims, who has been a Maroon leader for decades, and us recognized by indigenous Caribbean people as a true defender of their rights, according to a Barbara Blake Hannah. Now, for me, it wasn't just in the Caribbean, folks. It was right here in America. There's many revolts that our ancestors, was fighting the white supremacists, and other black folks sold them out. And this is a horrible, horrible story, because you fought for your freedom, but to maintain your freedom, you got to make sure that other black people be oppressed. Once again, there are black people today that make sure that the masses of black people are oppressed for money, for position, for access. And one thing that they don't want, or the white supremacists don't want, is you to get up from underneath them. They want to keep you in the same position as, you were. You understand? So, what can we learn from this? The raccoon class in the black community is one of the greatest dangers, and have been a danger to us for a very, very, very long time. See, the Haitians had got it right. They dealt with the raccoon class first before they got at the French in 1804. They understood we can't leave the raccoon class around, because they're going to work with the white supremacists to keep us, oppressed. And our biggest issue, and even Minister Farrakhan was talking about this one day, is that we got to fight the white supremacists and our own people at the same time, helping the white supremacists in many ways. So he said, you fighting a twofold war. You talking about a war, you fighting a war within your own community too. It's like people want to overlook that. And then when people say that, well, man, that sounds like some old coon talk. No, it's not. It's a reality. The Boule Martins of the world, and the Joy Reids, and the Angela Ryes, and all them, that's people fighting against black people. Just so they can get a little access, just so they can get a job, while the rest of you stay down. So that's why I look at things the way I look at them, today. It took me over 10 years to see things the way I see them. These people have a vested interest at keeping the masses of black people down, the white supremacists and other black folks. And that, to me, that's the one we need to deal with first. Personally, we need to deal with the enemy within first. Deal with the Congressional Black Caucus, deal with the Boule Martins and all them. We need to deal with them first before you even talk about dealing with the white supremacists on any level. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this particular story here, in history. Out of Jamaica. It's sad that the Maroons got their freedom, but they helped keep other black people down. Now, what if they would have said, hell no, we joining together and liberating all our people? Then that'd have been awesome, right? That'd have been a beautiful story. But that's not how it ended, because they only thought about themselves and sided with the white supremacists in this story. Thank you for watching, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out the African Diaspora News Channel app in the Google Play and Apple App Store.